Earlier today was the UFC 320 pre-fight press conference with Magomed Ankalaev, Alex Pereira, Merab Dvalishvili, Cory Sandhagen Jiri Prochazka, and Khalil Rountree. And I'm being dead serious when I say this. I know a lot of people are going to say, Joey the Dagestani Glazer. Magomed Ankalaev has mentally broke Alex Pereira. And after watching this press conference, it is so obvious. I'm going to show you a couple different clips. We're going to go over the press conference first. Then I'm going to get into a couple different clips. By the end of the press conference, Alex Pereira was obviously heated at Ankalaev. And Ankalaev couldn't have given two shits about what Pereira had said throughout the press conference. And you know what's crazy? I feel like the entire theme of Pereira's trash talk is your manager talks for you, almost like it's like a script from Pereira. Just keep hammering that home. And what it came off as was Pereira was just trying to manufacture some weird kind of beef with Ankalaev. And throughout the entire press conference, all Alex Pereira did was cope about the first fight. We're going to check out a couple different clips from that as well, because the excuses and the begging Daddy Dana White, co-sign me Dana, co-sign me Dana, I didn't duck him, Daddy Dana. Well, that would be believable if we didn't have clips of Alex Pereira saying the exact opposite of what he said at this press conference. So overall, I know the Pereira fanboys have popped out of their holes for a little bit. They're showing back up. They're like, Shama, man, UFC 320 Shama. And they're praying for some type of fluke KO. They're praying that somehow Pereira pulls off an upset. But this press conference told me what I already knew. It really did. Just made me even more confident than I already was. Pereira has already lost at UFC 320, and he is mentally broken. Now, the first thing I want to talk about, we're going to talk about the other fighters because there's not that much to talk about. So we're just going to break it down really quickly. Cory and Merab kind of went back and forth early. It was kind of funny. It was kind of weird. I don't know. I didn't really care that much because, to be honest, I don't care about that fight that much. But Cory said, somebody asked Merab, and they framed the question as, Cory said that Umar has better offensive wrestling than you, and basically asked him what he thought about that. And Merab kind of already started to get angry, and he said, I'll show him. And then Cory said, I thought we were striking because Merab had said in the past he wants to strike with Cory Sandhagen. Then Merab's like, you said you were going to shoot me. And the way he said it, I don't know if he's talking about wrestling. Is he talking about something else? Merab's kind of dumb. But either way, there was a little bit back and forth. And then somebody asked Merab, what makes you think you can knock Cory Sandhagen out? And he said, nobody I fought could do shit. He's talking about Jan. He's talking about, who else was he talking about? He mentioned somebody else by name, Sean O'Malley. And he said, I finished Sean O'Malley. I said I was going to finish Sean O'Malley in the second fight. I did. And Jan couldn't do nothing. And Cory Sandhagen points out, you shot like 60 times on Jan. You grappled against Jan. And then Cory calls him a liar and says he's lying. He's not going to strike. He's going to grapple, which we all know Merab is going to grapple. But Cory is actually kind of playing it smart because Merab is dumb enough and egotistical enough that he could be goaded into going out there and potentially trying to strike longer than he actually should against Cory Sandhagen. And that gives Cory the opportunity to land a big shot. But then there's a weird exchange where Merab, it's like Merab had this trash talk in the back of his mind. And he was like, you post your balls on OnlyFans and they're small. Like, I don't even know. He was like, and then Cory Sandhagen was like, yeah, they are kind of small, Merab. So I don't know what the validity of that is at all. I don't know what they're exactly talking about. I don't know who's paying or subscribing to Cory Sandhagen's OnlyFans. But that was kind of an interesting back and forth between Sandhagen and Merab. You also have Merab talking about setting record takedowns. You have, pretty much just Merab and Sandhagen. They start to have a moment and then kind of it just never Like, you felt like maybe one or two more media members asked like a prying question. You could have really got them going back and forth. Now, I personally don't care for those WWE type antics, but that seemed like what it was getting to. But I do believe there is kind of a takeaway in the back and forth between Merab, which I already got to, and Merab and Sandhagen, is if Merab goes out there and really tries to prove a point, he could actually lose this fight. But I don't think Merab is that dumb that he's going to go out there and just try to strike nonstop with Sandhagen. I think he's going to mix in the grappling. Now, in terms of Jiri Prochazka, Khalil Rountree, I watched the press conference 1.5 times. I watched it once, and then I watched it a second time for some timestamps, and I kind of sifted through a little bit. I don't remember a damn thing that Jiri or Khalil said outside of Khalil talking about the fan base that he's received from getting a participation trophy from losing to Alex Pereira. And he really gave some effeminate cucky vibes. Like, you could tell he still loves his daddy, Alex Pereira. And that was really it for those two guys. So really, outside of the main event, which, believe it or not, and I kind of alluded to this in the beginning of the video, believe it or not, that even though we have so many translations and you know, we have Dagestani and we have Portuguese and we have English and then we have Dana jumping in the middle of it and we got translators getting silenced by Pereira, the trash talk in the main event was actually good. And it wasn't over the top fake, but it did seem a bit contrived from Pereira. But there was a bunch of different things. Magomed was specifically, or Pereira said he'd kind of doubled down on Magomed hiding at the PI, and basically really nothing ever came of that. Magomed was like, oh, we're going to find out Saturday night, stuff like that. But I want to get into the clips because we're really going to go through each clip, and it really does show you how mentally broken Alex Pereira is going into this fight, because it was essentially nothing but cope. And really, honestly, it was Alex Pereira getting infuriated at Ankalaev for really not saying much of anything. But the first clip I want to start with is the very first question to Pereira. He begs Daddy Dana White to bail him out of some of the ducking allegations. Listen to this. This is the very first question for Pereira.
A luta, o cara só falou mentira. Mentiu falando que eu falei não, que eu neguei alguma luta para ele. Eu nunca neguei luta para ele. Dana White está aqui, faz a pergunta para ele.
Look, please, Daddy Dana, you'll hear the translation in a second. Daddy Dana, please bail me out.
He's been lying since the first fight. He said that I turned down fights against him, that I said no. Dana's right here. He can confirm it. Just ask Dana.
Just ask Dana. Just ask Dana, because Dana definitely would shit on Alex Pereira for turning down fights. Definitely would, right? He definitely would tell the truth, right? And luckily, we don't have to speculate because we have Alex Pereira's own words in recent interviews that some people may or may not have seen. Very first question to Pereira. I don't even remember what they asked him, but that was his immediate response. Ask Dana, I didn't turn down any fights.
Were there any fights declined?
What do you want to know? What kind of bullshit you starting here that I'm in the middle of now?
He just asked me to ask you the question if any fights were declined between these two.
This guy never turns down fights, ever. When he's injured, when he's not injured, this guy doesn't give a shit. He's on vacation, he says yes and comes, believe me.
And one for
So Pereira doesn't turn down any fights. Now, I do believe the truth is somewhere in the middle here. But Ankalaev was on Twitter saying, Pereira doesn't want to fight me. Let me fight anyone. Let me fight at 317. Let me fight at 318. Let me fight at 319. Eventually got scheduled for 320. But Ankalaev wanted to be active, and he's saying, just give me somebody. And he said that Pereira did not want the fight. It got pushed back till October because Pereira was not healthy enough to take the immediate rematch. Well, Dana White there, Mr. Honest Dana White, who beats his wife at a club in Mexico at 53 years old, says, look, Pereira's never turned down a fight, man. He's on vacation. Pereira has done the UFC favor after favor, and he is one of the more notable names in the organization. You think Dana's just going to come out and shit on him? So, yeah, we wanted him to fight at 317, but he couldn't do it. We wanted him to fight at 318, but he couldn't do it. We wanted him to fight at 319, but he couldn't do it. You think Dana's going to say that? Well, luckily, we didn't need Dana to say that because we have Pereira saying it himself, okay? in multiple interviews that I'm going to show you a quick clip from each of these interviews. Listen to this.
Da forma que eu precisava. Então tem uma boa relação e agradeço ao UFC.
Alex had an amazing relationship with the UFC, a very good relationship. Then later they got to talk to Hunter. Hunter explained to them, and then he said, okay, let's push this forward because I have a few injuries. So everything was good, but he have an amazing relationship with the UFC. He likes...
You guys hear that? Did you guys hear that? He's asked to clarify about his tweet where he said he was going to retire and the UFC wasn't treating him right because the UFC offered Jiri a fight with Ankalaev because Pereira turned it down. But then he talked to Hunter Campbell and they cleared it up. They're going to push back the fight. They're going to push back the fight. Listen to the translation here. Listen again.
Alex have an amazing relationship with the UFC, a very good relationship. Then later they got to talk to Hunter. Hunter explained to them, and then he said, okay, let's push this forward because I have a few injuries.
Let's push it forward because I have a few injuries. If that's not enough, listen to this. Here's again. And again, I'm going to skip Pereira talking because we're just going to listen to the translation in the interest of time.
No, it wasn't complicated to get the rematch. You know, as soon as I got out of that fight, I knew I was going to have the immediate rematch. It was just a matter of letting my body heal. You know, I had a lot of injuries, a lot of things. But, you know, him as the champion, you know, it just goes to show that he's got no say in anything. You know, in the end, whatever I spoke to the UFC about and whatever was convenient for me.
Whatever was convenient for me. AKA, I dictated when we would fight. Alex Pereira demanded October. Alex Pereira demanded Las Vegas. If you know, you know. I'm not going to break that down for you anymore. What he dictated. Ankalaev doesn't get a say. What he dictated. Because he's been Dana White's teacher's pet for years. There's a little bit more.
Is what's ended up happening. You know, he wanted to fight in July. He wanted to fight all these times and didn't happen. So it came out to be, you know, just as I needed it, just as I wanted it.
It's funny because perception is reality, and people screamed from the rooftops that Ankalaev demanded Abu Dhabi. Wasn't true. Wasn't true. Ankalaev turned down title shots. Was not true. But now Pereira saying, well, I didn't turn down any fights. Now, I really believe the truth kind of is in the middle. Even though I just brutally exposed Pereira, we'll be a little bit more charitable than, oh, he's running, he's terrified. I don't believe that's the case. Pereira was offered the fight, and he said, no, I want more time because I want to heal up. I want to be close to 100% for the immediate rematch, which I think is totally reasonable, okay? I think it's actually reasonable. But Ankalaev, the guy who people complain about being inactive, they shit on him, they say he's boring, they say he's a grappler, even though that's not true. He wanted to stay active as the champion, and the fight got delayed, so he vented frustrations online that people acted like he said the most egregious things on Twitter, which he hasn't said anything that's too crazy, in my opinion. And Pereira is now offended because he ducked him for years as champion. And then not only that, he's now dictating the rematch based on what's most beneficial for him, just like he won at Ramadan. He thought that was going to get him a win at UFC 313. So anyway, get exposed brutally there. He turned down the fight. In his own words, he said, I got what I wanted. I got what I wanted. By the way, really quickly, because I have some notes here from the press conference. A couple things we're not going to look at in terms of clips, but happened. Ank was immediately asked about what is his message for the division. He said, I want to prove everyone wrong and let them know who's the real champ. So I think he's just saying, like, I have a lot of doubters. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to beat Pereira up, and I'm going to prove it. He was asked about hiding at the PI, got a bunch of boos. And he said, you guys are firing me up. It's okay. I'll punish your boys. Saturday, I'll beat him up like he stole from me. I think that was a decent line. I mean, I'm not sitting here, you know, oh my God, this is crazy. Rogan, oh my God. You know, Rogan and DC. Okay, decent lines from Ankalaev. And then one other thing I want to talk about before we jump into the next clip, because we have a couple different clips, is, I mean, we had a media member say, if you beat Pereira on Saturday night again, man, are you going to start doing more media? When are these media members going to realize MMA media as like a mainstream thing is fucking dead. What a dumb question. What a waste of a question. I mean, these dudes asking questions at the press conference are an embarrassment, an outright embarrassment. So we have that. Now, we also have Oscar Willis, which we're going to jump ahead to. We're going to listen to his question, then we're going to skip the answer, and then we're going to get to the actual translation again. There's lots of translations here. Listen to this. Listen to this. He asked Pereira a question, but he frames it really as an Ankalaev hater. It's like whatever narrative the Chama boys, the Pereira fanboys set, the majority of fans run with, but also the media runs with it. And it's just outright egregious, in my opinion. Listen to this.
One question for Alex Pereira. Alex, what do you actually feel about Ankalaev on a personal level at this point? You know, sometimes he's very aggressive online. You've had these run-ins at the PI, and then sometimes he's very calm when he actually sees you. What do you make of him on a personal level?
No nível pessoal,
Listen to that question. Listen to that question. Sometimes he's very aggressive online. Then when you run into him, he's nice. And that, like Oscar Willis, this dude, this little beta male soy boy, tweets trying to grovel to his boss, Conor McGregor, talking about the size of his cock. And now here he is. Yeah, he's awfully aggressive online. People act like Ankalaev has said some outright, outlandish, crazy shit talk. And, you know, I didn't have it ready, but I'm just going to pull it up real quick because it's real. I mean, there's really nothing to it. Okay, so first off, every single one of these tweets that I'm about to show you in the first portion of this happened since Pereira said that he's hiding at the PI. He's hiding from him at the PI, okay? So he has nothing since July 22nd. There's some replies that I'll show you in a second, okay? And we'll go back to some of these tweets really quickly. But after Pereira was talking crap, Ankalaev tweeted, "This clown who I'm fighting said I'm hiding from him. I'm giving him a rematch. He should be very grateful. I whooped him for 5 rounds. I did everything I wanted to him during the fight. Let's focus on fighting and not trash talking." Like, is that so aggressive? Like how beta are these dudes? They can't take a little bit of trash talk? Like, the fans and also the media, like, man, Pereira, he's the face of the organization, man. Shama this, Shama that, this and that. Ankalaev's got no personality, man. He doesn't sell any pay-per-views. He doesn't have any Instagram followers. And they only care about it because he's Muslim. They only care about it because he's Dagestani. But then he says this, which is nothing crazy, after Pereira shit talks him, and somehow he's Mr. Online Aggressive. Then he said, "This guy's been knocked out 3 times in his career. I've never been knocked down. This time I will give him his 4th knockout." End of story. Oh my God. He might as well called his mother a whore there. That was so aggressive. Okay, and then a couple other things. But again, there's nothing. I mean, you can read these for yourself. Nothing too insane. Now, before that, I'm literally going to scroll through. I'm just going to pick 1 or 2. You guys can pause it and read them for yourself. But breaking news, Alex now asking, he want to fight me during Ramadan again. I need more time. And the other clown has to do his homework. Let me fight Carlos, and he's more danger than all of them. I mean, seriously. So the worst thing you can pull up from Ankalaev, which is so egregious. Let me find it in his replies, okay? We're going to find it here. Where is it at? Let's see if we can find it. Was about, I'm going to send him back to the tire shop. He's going to be drinking again. I think it's right here. You're right. I'm not going to have anything to say because you're going to be sleeping and on your way to working at the tire shop again. And again, it was a response to Pereira. It's up to the UFC. If they want to do it again, I'll fight anyone. To be honest, from everything we've seen, I think with him losing, I don't think he's going to fight for the title anymore. So Pereira preemptively ducking a trilogy. Now, there was one other tweet. I don't know if it's in here. You know, he said, oh, he didn't get hacked. There was one that said, you know, something about Pereira's history drinking. People are like, oh, man, that's so wrong, man. Pereira was once an alcoholic, and he said, I'm going to send him back to drinking and working at the tire shop. Give me a fucking break. Like, I don't understand why we act like Ankalaev or Ali Abdelaziz, whoever's tweeting this out. Everyone likes to point that out. Like, they're acting like he's calling him racial slurs or talking about his family or saying something insane because you guys call him boring. You guys say he has no personality. He tries to show a little bit of personality without being too contrived or too forced. And then all of a sudden, You got Oscar Willis, little beta soy boy bitch ass. Like, man, he's aggressive online, man. He's so aggressive. I'll be aggressive online. Fuck you, Oscar Willis. Let me stop. But seriously, fuck Oscar Willis, man. Why don't you go suck off Conor McGregor, give him a hand job, because that's what you do for your job, you bum. Anyway, let's get to the answer, okay? Because we get an answer from Pereira here, and this is where you kind of start to see him break, and this is where he talks about him hiding at the PI. Listen to this.
Agora pra ele, por que ele se escondeu?
A lot of people believe it's not him posting online, and sometimes I believe that too. You know, going off of what I saw and what he said at the PI, you know, ask him. I think he was hiding at the PI.
I think he was hiding at the PI. He tracked you down within 24 hours of you saying that, confronted you to your face, and you said, well, the UFC people asked us to be separate, and you followed protocol after you were saying you were a professional, but you're not. The media is just, I mean, they're clowns. And then to make matters even worse, not only do we have Oscar Willis, who's a total bitch, okay? Talk about aggressive being online again. Ankalaev wants to jump in and say something here, and granted, he should have spoke with his chest here. Okay, this is maybe the worst moment for Ankalaev the entire press conference. And another media member just cuts him off here. I mean, what a joke.
Question for Alex Pereira. You did some training with Sean Strickland in the lead.
This guy is a fucking bum. He asked him, what secrets did you learn from Sean Strickland? He probably learned the secrets of him and his daddy. What a dumb question. Instead of saying, oh, let me chill back and let me see what Ankalaev has to say about hiding at the PI, considering when Pereira said that before, Ankalaev got a little bit angry about it and confronted him immediately. Let's see how this plays out. Let's get a little promotion for the card because Dana White's too busy going around hyping up Zuffa boxing. He says, man, what you learn about the secrets of Sean Strickland, buddy? What a fucking idiot, man. I can't stand some of these clowns. Anyway, let's skip ahead to one of the best moments for Ankalaev of the press conference, okay? And we're really going to see here in the next couple clips, not this clip, Pereira is a broken man. And I will stand by that. Anyway, listen to this. They asked Ankalaev, I talked about it earlier, he was booed here. They asked him, how did he feel about getting booed so much in Las Vegas? His answer was spot on perfect.
Them booing me doesn't mean they don't like me. It's just, the reason is I keep beating their favorite fighters and they're just mad at me. I can't do nothing about it.
Facts. They're not booing him for any other reason than he whooped up on their Shama boy. They will all disappear after UFC 320 unless Pereira somehow flukes a win. They will disappear again like they disappeared after UFC 313. So I think he calls it out perfectly. And if he continues to win, the fans will come around. They always do. And he will get the respect that he deserves. Let's jump ahead more because this is really what I think broke Pereira, really started to aggravate him because Ankalaev hits him with another good line. He was only champion because I wasn't here. Because they robbed Ankalaev of the title against Jan Blachowicz at UFC 282. And then Pereira would have never been light heavyweight champion. But let's listen.
The reason he became a champion is because I wasn't there. And now I'm here. I'm going to put a stamp on this on Saturday, beat him again, and then all the questions will be answered.
And this is when they start the back and forth. This broke Pereira. Because it's the truth. It's facts. If Ankalaev gets the title at UFC 282, Pereira is never champ at light heavyweight.
Eu tava no meu pior dia e foi isso que ele conseguiu fazer.
I was on my worst day and that's all he could do.
More cope. I'm on my worst day and that's all he could do. He whooped you for 4 rounds. He embarrassed you in the striking. He almost finished you in the second round. You got saved by the bell. You landed like 2 head strikes the entire fight. That's all he could do. He embarrassed you. It's really not looking good. And this is where it gets even worse.
No sábado, o empresário dele não vai estar para ajudar.
Я сделал с тобой все, что захотел. То, что я хотел, я сделал с тобой. Что еще нужно было сделать?
Sábado, o seu empresário não vai estar para te ajudar.
I did to you whatever I wanted to do. There was nothing else I could do.
On Saturday, your manager won't be there. And then Ankalaev says, I did everything I could do. There's nothing more I could do, which is, I mean, he could have finished him, but he dominated him. I don't care what anyone says. People act like it was a close fight. It wasn't close. It was mildly competitive, but that's not the same thing. Pereira got shut down. He didn't get beat down mercilessly like Anthony Smith Glover Teixeira, but he got completely shut down. He was completely ineffective at UFC 313. But let's continue.
Ну хорошо, я как раз хочу доказать всем, что вот ты же говоришь, что ты сейчас готов. Давайте сделаем это. Я нападу на тебя вот как ненормальный. Мы это увидим.
Hey, the good thing is you're ready now, so we're gonna see on Saturday. Don't say you.
By the way, look at this. And Ankalaev was going to hit him with a great line. This translator should have kept going. No, finish your translation. Because what Ankalaev, I'm assuming what Ankalaev is going to say is, you're ready now. So after Saturday, when I whoop you, don't make a bunch of excuses again like you did the last couple fights. Every fight, Pereira makes excuses, even if he wins, so he gets more credit for his win. But Pereira didn't want to hear it, so he cuts him off, and there's some more back and forth.
On Saturday, your manager won't be there to help you.
Chama!
Шама уже давно потушили. No Шама.
Mentiroso.
No Shama. Not only did he say it to him at the press conference, he said it right to his face at the PI, surrounded by Pereira's teammates.
Liar.
Go ahead.
There is no more Shama. We killed it.
By the way, Pereira's entire personality up into this fight was simply saying Shama. But the crowd still loves it. The Pereira fanboys are eating it up for now. For now. Now let's skip ahead. This is almost the same exchange. We're just going to skip a little bit ahead. Pereira making more excuses for his loss. Listen to this.
Evoluído, lutando da mesma forma que eu lutei naquele dia, com o meu corpo bem, ele não ganha de mim.
The corrections I made were for my body. I wasn't feeling well that day, and now I feel much better. I feel much more prepared. Speaking technically, there's really not much. You know, in reality is if I could fight him feeling my body well without making that many technical corrections, I'll beat him.
I don't need to fix anything. I just wasn't feeling well. My tummy hurt. Is this not cope? Is this not cope? Why is nobody calling this out? Because Pereira is a fan favorite? We're not going to call out a bunch of excuses in a fight that he lost clear as day 4-1. Could make a case for 5-0, but I think 4-1. Pereira got the first round. I wasn't feeling good. I don't need to change anything. How can anyone pick Pereira to win this fight? I don't need to change anything. I just need to feel better. I'm not buying that one. I'm not buying that. And then, towards the end of the press conference, we get the best exchange between Pereira and Ankalaev. And Pereira really goes after him. Oh, your coach is telling you to say this. Your manager's telling you to say this. And Ankalaev just hits him back right away. Nobody's in his ear, I can presume. By the way, I meant to say this. When Pereira silenced the guy, there's a chance, because there were some translations that we weren't hearing, so I think they have earpieces in. I don't know. You can't really tell. And maybe there was a translation. He was listening to something else. They're a little bit behind. I'm not 100% sure on that. So I'll give him a little bit of charity on that one. But anyway, this is the best exchange. This is towards like the last 5 minutes of the presser. Listen to this. Oh, by the way, the question he was asked here was, if you win your title back on Saturday, do you want to go up to heavyweight? Already giving him an out. Already giving him an out. If he wins this fight, he will take his ball and run home. So Ankalaev better not lose focus for 1 second.
I'm focused just on this belt right now. I've always said I take one step at a time, so I need to take this belt back, and then we'll see.
Bom, o treinador dele estava ali. O treinador dele estava ali falando no microfone para ele fazer alguma pergunta, tipo parecendo uma marionete. Acho que o treinador dele foi falar para ele, para falar alguma coisa, para não sair tão feio o que eles fizeram. Falando que eu usei óleo no corpo. Isso prova que eles não são tão bons o suficiente. Eu evoluí muito nos meus treinos, aprendi, e eles viram que eu sou bom. E não conseguiram me derrubar. Isso é cara fraco.
I wanted to play that because you can see Pereira starting to get worked up here. Ankalaev could not give a fuck less. But listen to it.
His coach was telling him to ask questions. He's like a little puppet, you know, it's just so he doesn't come off as looking as bad. He said I hold my body. He said a lot of things because they know that I'm better. The improvement that I've made, the things that I've done, they know that I'm better.
Chama!
They know that I'm better. The crowd's dead silent. So he says, oh, let me say Shama again because I'm mentally broken and I'm aggravated. And Ankalaev just bodies him here. I don't care what anyone says. People are going to say, Joey, you're exaggerating. He literally bodies Pereira here.
Fala pra ele falar o que o treinador falou, sem criatividade, pô.
Say what your coach wanted you to say. No creativity there.
Pede ajuda pros universitários.
Ankalaev.
Марионетка или что, когда клетка закроется, я тебе покажу. Как показал в прошлый раз, я готов это повторить. Я вижу, ты нервничаешь. Пару дней потерпи и все. Мы закроемся с тобой.
I see you very nervous. Please be patient. Couple of days. When the cage door closes, I'm gonna show you what for.
Like, I know that's not much, but he's like, dude, I can tell you're nervous. I can tell you're losing, you know, your wits a little bit. I can tell you're getting emotional here. But don't worry, a couple of days we'll be able to get in there. Pereira tries to get another jab at him, and Ankalaev cooks him again. Okay, as everyone says.
Isso é a ideia do treinador, pô.
That's his coach's idea.
Ele, o empresário, que quer aparecer mais do que o atleta.
By the way, think about how shook he is. That's his coach's idea to say that. We'll find out Saturday night when the cage door locks. Yeah, I'm sure that's his coach or his manager. Maybe he's alluding to the manager there. I'm sure that's their creativity. Yeah, we'll see on Saturday night when we get locked in the cage. Yep, he's got the earpiece in his ear, man. Ankalaev's finding out trash talk from the earpiece.
Him and his manager, they want to appear more than the athlete.
Что бы ни придумал, кто бы ни придумал.
É a vez dele, pô. Deixa o atleta, pô.
И ему не избежать этого.
It doesn't matter what they say. It's just going to be me and you in the cage on Saturday.
Ankalaev.
Nothing to say. Nothing to say. And it's just facts, man. You can I'm telling you can tell Pereira is shook. I'm not saying he's scared of Ankalaev, but Pereira knows how deep down he knows how that first fight went. And here he is just trying to hammer home, like he must have read online or somebody gave him the advice, oh, just say it's his manager talking. Just say it's his coach talking. It's irrelevant. Nothing he's saying is crazy. If he was saying some crazy outlandish shit, be like, oh my God, man, you're on a leash from your manager, whatever it may be. These are the two guys stepping in the cage. But that compounded with the fact that he's saying, I don't need to make any adjustments because I have a litany of excuses. And then him lying and Dana White co-signing the fact that Pereira ducked him for many, many years and then turned down the immediate rematch because he wanted to get healthy, which again is more than okay. Okay, but he shouldn't be able to dictate it to the champion, who now people are going to call inactive because he had to wait 7 months to fight again, even though he was begging for a fight in June, July, and August. He had to wait until October because Pereira dictated it. That's based on what he said in interviews. And then he's mad because Ankalaev called him out for it. And that's added on top of the fact that Pereira avoided him for years, aided and abetted by the UFC. So to sum all this up, Magomed Ankalaev mentally broke Pereira. I could not be more confident that he wins at UFC 320. I think it would have to be some type of fluke injury or something for Ankalaev to lose. And I really think this is the end of Alex. He's going to be going to heavyweight soon. He might be heading off to Zuffa Boxing soon with his star power. And then the end of the press conference, I think Merab was asked about, how do you feel about a fight with Volkanovski for a second belt? And Merab was like, I respect him, and who gives a rat's ass? The media is embarrassing. This was a decent press conference. I think Ankalaev is under Pereira's skin a bit. And I really, you guys can give me your opinion. I don't think Pereira's under Ankalaev's skin at all. I don't think Ankalaev gives two fucks. I don't think he's thinking about what Pereira says at all after the fact. I don't think he's going to let it affect him in the cage at all. But let me know what you guys think of the UFC 320 presser. I know there's going to be a lot of Pereira fanboys saying, Joey, you're a Dagestani Glazier. I'm unsubscribing. I don't give a fuck. We don't want you here. If you can't hear someone else's opinion, you want to live in an echo chamber? Come on now, okay? But this press conference, if I could compare it to a stare down, this press conference reminded me when Leon Edwards bucked at Bilal Muhammad and Bilal just stared at him. I knew right then and there the fight was over. I know this rematch is already over. Ankalaev has it in the bag. Pereira is mentally broken. He's got to pray for a fluke win. So let me know what you guys think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.